Welcome, welcome. Those of you who have joined me before know that I love that countdown. I saw someone else do it probably a year ago and immediately had to start implementing it. And it makes me smile and dance a little every time I watch the countdown. So, welcome. And that is actually a great segue into today because we do value learning from others. I learned the countdown from others. So, today, hopefully, you are going to learn from me. I'm Jayne Latz, the communication trainer. And did you know that effective communication is cited as one of the top skills sought after in leadership roles? Welcome to today's live stream. And in this live stream, we are going to explore the link between communication and successful leadership in teams. I am thrilled to have you right here so that we can delve into this important topic, developing effective communication for leadership roles within teams. In today's fast-paced and interconnected world, effective communication is the cornerstone of successful leadership. And some people get it and some people don't. Whether you are a team leader, a manager, or aspiring to take on a leadership role, honing your communication skills are vital for fostering collaboration, inspiring your team, and achieving shared goals. The ability to communicate effectively can be the difference between success and failure for you and your team. In this live stream today, we are going to explore several tips, five, and best practices that can empower you to become a more effective communicator in your leadership journey. If you don't already know, we post a single 1 minute, even less, 1 minute video on all our social media platforms each week. One simple minute to give you a valuable tip connecting communication and leadership. 1 minute each week. Who doesn't have time for that? So during this live stream, we're going to jump in to uncover the secrets to effective communication. I want you to keep your eyes on the comments section because we are going to share a great handout a little later, and hopefully there'll be great interaction with some of our viewers. The handout that we are going to share with you a little later is so valuable. All our private clients receive this handout. And you might say, well, of course, but we have thousands of documents. Not every client gets all thousands of our documents, but this one is so valuable that every client receives it. And speaking of our private clients, be sure to ask me before the end of this live stream, if I have not mentioned it yet, that this month, the month of May 2023, I have an incredible offer for those interested in one-to-one customized virtual training. And it is the best deal that I have ever given in my 17 years in business. First, let me check. I have a few people who have checked in. Hello, Mandisar, and hello, Joe. Oh my gosh, I love that comment, Joe. I'm glad you made it here as well. I also love for those who are here to let me know in the comment section where you are calling in from or watching from, because one of my recent events, I had someone from Seattle, Washington, USA, and I had someone from India. I love bringing the world together for as short as we are together, uniting everyone with the same information. So thank you for joining, and let's jump in. Now, I am going to call these tips 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. I don't want to confuse you, but the last few months, we did tips through 1 through 15 in our last 3 months. So, again, I don't want to confuse you, but I am going to call it tip 16. So, if you want to go to Instagram or LinkedIn or YouTube and grab and catch up with the 1 minute tips, you know where you have to go. So, tip number 16 is to identify areas of improvement by recording yourself. This is so incredibly valuable. Listening and observing your performances from either a video or audio recording is incredibly beneficial. People don't realize until they hear or see themselves just what they are doing. So, for example, if it's a video, you may notice that you are gesturing too much, or you are staring down, or you are fidgeting with a pen. That one is so common. People are constantly fidgeting, clicking, but you may not realize it until you watch yourself. If it's an audio recording, you may not realize just how often you are using those filler words, like you know. We use a barometer that you should only have no greater than 2 and 2 minutes. And when you record yourself, some of you are going to be shocked that in the first 10 seconds, you've already used 5 filler words. And a filler word is any word that doesn't add content to the message. Like you know, so basically. And using greater than 2 and 2 minutes will make you sound indecisive and tentative. And those are not skills that are indicative of a leadership role or of a leader. So we want to reduce those filler words, reduce the distracting body movement, and take away any of the verbal and nonverbal communication behaviors that may be interfering with your success. So, step 1 is to be sure to record yourself either with the audio or the video. Tip number 17, or the second one that we'll share today, is to establish connections. Leadership skills can be developed by productivity, and productivity can be increased through connection skills. How are you connecting? As a leader, these connection skills can help you identify communication styles that differ and foster teamwork. So in the comments section, let me know how you connect. Remember, people do business with people they like and trust. By connecting, we develop those relationships. So one way of connecting is eye contact. And that I know is so challenging for so many on the virtual platform. It's really important, especially with a one-to-one meeting, that you try to look at the camera. If the individual is to your left or below you, depending how you set up the screen, you will be looking down or to the side. And we don't want that. We want to be connecting. And certainly, if you are in person, look at the individual. Don't look at the ceiling. Don't look at the floor. Pre-COVID, when we met people in my office in New York City, I used to ask some clients, "What do you see on my ceiling?" Because when they got nervous or uncomfortable, they would look up at the ceiling. So establish that eye contact for step 1 in connecting. And then if someone has introduced themselves or started a meeting, ask questions. Show them you're interested. Gain their trust by learning more about them. Whenever I introduce myself, it's always interesting to watch the response, where people will either just nod their head and smile or ask great questions to learn more about what we're doing. So, a great connection technique is asking questions. And what does your body say about you? We talked about that a little earlier about the importance of watching in step one, watching your body language. But what is your body language saying about you? Did you know that 55% of the impression you are making is totally nonverbal? It's your body language. If you are aspiring to a leadership role or in a leadership role, you want to exude that executive presence. You don't want to be fidgeting. You don't want to play with a pen or a paper clip or, believe it or not, your nails. A lot of people just sit and play with their fingers. You want to eliminate all of those behaviors. And then don't forget to smile, especially some leaders. You may be in a leadership role. Don't forget to smile. If you want an effective team, these connection techniques are so important, and they make all the difference in the world in terms of building relationships and leadership skills. So I'm going to pause because I just saw a question pop in. Joe said, if we are in an interview setting with 4 members, how often should we shift eye contact among various panel members? Excellent question, Joe. And I'm going to answer that as if it was in person and on the virtual platform, since you didn't clarify. If you are in person, you want to finish a thought looking at one individual. I love demonstrating this in live events. When I just last week spoke to a group of female CFOs in New York City, and I love connecting with my eyes to as many people as I can in that time period. So finish a thought. You certainly don't want to be fleeting, because that won't develop that trust and that connection. So you want to look at the individual, finish that sentence, and then look at somebody else. Or if it's only one question that was asked, you want to look at the individual that asked the question, start the sentence, and then look to the others, because you always want to be inclusive. I know you've noticed, because we all have, when one person asks a question, everybody answers to just that person, but there are 3 other people in the room or 4 other people in the room. You do want to make sure that you include them with your eye contact in your answer. So if it's a one word answer or just a brief sentence, look at the individual and then possibly look at the others. If it's more sentences in that answer, maybe a little more thorough, then yes, move from one person to another. And if it's on the virtual platform, I would put it in a way so that you have everybody on the view. And then, yes, try to look at the individuals in the same way. It does take practice. Everything I always talk about takes practice. And again, not to push my one-to-one training, but that's why we usually do a 10-session program, because everything takes time to make those changes. We're humans. We've been doing things in business the same way. If we want to break those habits and learn new habits, it takes practice. Mondesir, and I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly, you said, can you stay actively in watching people in their eyes when they're speaking anything? Can you stay actively in watching in their eyes? I'm not sure what you're asking there, but if it's, can you stay connected to them while they're asking their question or they're speaking? Yes, of course, you definitely want to keep your eye contact on the individual, especially if it's as small as the 4 people Joe just asked, or if it's a small group. You definitely want to connect with your eyes. Always focus on the speaker. So, time to move on to tip number 18, or tip number 3 for today. Practice mindfulness. And mindfulness is a topic we've heard so much about. So, let's talk about how it relates to this communication and leadership. Practicing mindfulness involves being aware of your thoughts without always acting on them. And that's tough. How often do we become emotional and want to react? Leadership that is based on mindfulness avoids obstacles that can hinder its development. Being mindful helps you to think before reacting. Being mindful helps you to not respond in the moment. Yesterday, my husband and I had a wedding to go to. 2 weeks ago, I said to him, make sure you have your clothing ready. Some of you can appreciate this. 30 minutes before it was time to leave, he looks for his slacks and he cannot find them. Normally, I would get a little upset with him. But I took a deep breath, practiced what I preach, and I said, where have you checked? And we slowly went through his closets, yes, his closets, and realized we couldn't find his desired slacks for the event. He found another pair, not a pair I would have wanted a week earlier, but it was right before the event. He got dressed, he looked fabulous, and we had a great time. And in the middle of the party, I said, aren't you so impressed that I didn't lose my temper and get upset with you? I practiced mindfulness. By practicing mindfulness, you improve communication, make better decisions, and can focus more effectively. And my husband was very appreciative that I did not react as he thought I might. Before I continue, I wanted to pause to tell you about an amazing offer this month only. Just this month. And this month, there's only 1 week left. We have 1 week left for May 2023. We are offering a $700 discount on our private, customized one-to-one training, which includes 10 sessions and materials, etc. And we could talk more about that later, but I just want to be sure that if you were ever thinking about kicking up your communication skills to achieve that leadership role, this is the best time to reach out. And in the link in the comment section, we're going to share my calendar so you can jump on a calendar, although this week's pretty busy, jump on a calendar so that we could discuss exactly what goes into it. Or you could just simply jump in and start with the initial assessment, which will give you the feedback you want, and then you could decide if you want the 10 sessions or not. But now is the best time if you have any interest whatsoever in one-to-one training. I am now going to move on to tip number 19. And this one might sound logical for all the aspiring leaders and leaders, but it's to think strategically. Strategize by asking the right questions. And we talked about that earlier with connecting. There are so many books on the market about asking the right questions. Don't make any rash decisions. Think them through carefully. Remember, we've spent a lot of time talking about the power of the pause, as well as mindfulness. And it all ties together. With the pause, practicing mindfulness, you will be able to think strategically. By getting comfortable with breathing, mindfulness, and the pause, you'll think through the situations. The pause is everything. Just last week, I was outside my office in New York City, and I was just packing up my car in the driveway. And one of my neighbors came running out. This is a neighbor I've known for maybe 10 years. And I'm sorry to say, I don't know their name, but we actually hugged. We're very warm, friendly neighbors. And he came out to rave about my YouTube channel. He came out to rave about the impact it has had on his entire career. He raved about the power of the pause. So much so that I handed him my phone and I said, "You must record this on video for me." So, those of you connected to me on YouTube, check it out. It will be uploaded in the near future. Just a quick testimonial on the power of the pause and the impact to his career in the financial industry. So, yes, the pause is everything. So shift your focus on why or why not when new opportunities present themselves, and just think about all the positive outcomes. I'm going to move forward with our last of the 5 tips for today, which is tip number 20 if you're following all our live streams and my 1-minute videos. So be sure to post any questions or comments as we get closer to the end. And Antonio, thank you. You just checked in, and I appreciate all of you. And again, remember, for anyone who's just checking in, feel free to let me know where you're calling in from. I just love knowing. I'm from New York. I'm in New York. If my background didn't help and my New York accent didn't help. So tip number 20, have the ability to think on your feet. And you'll notice that some of these overlap. And thinking on your feet is so important. When I speak to groups of CEOs, we practice this. We practice thinking on your feet. It is so important for everyone. Does this resonate with you? I am very comfortable when I'm speaking one-on-one or to my team. But if senior leaders or I'm in a meeting with high stakeholders, I start rambling, I speak too quickly, I get nervous. You're not alone. So have the ability to think on your feet. Think carefully, breathe. We've definitely talked about how important breathing is. And don't guess. Think before you react. Know what you're talking about. Practice self-control and self-discipline. And you might need to ask for clarification. And that's totally fine. Totally fine, because not only when they repeat do they clarify, but it gives you more time to think. And if you don't know the answer, that's okay too. You can always ask the audience, "That's a great question. Does anyone else have that answer?" There are so many techniques, and that's for another video. But most important for right now is to think before you react so that you can think on your feet. And thank you, Antonio, for checking in from Vancouver, Canada. Such a magnificent place. I hope one day that I get to visit it again, but it was one of our most special trips. And Joe, just comes down to preparation and confidence. Yes, absolutely, Joe. We have so many people. While I love to offer the 10-session training program, we do have people who come to us for what I call speech emergencies where they were just told they have this really important presentation and they do want to run through it with a pro and practice it. And it does take the practice and the preparation to build that confidence. So you are 100% correct, Joe. Finding time to practice whatever it is you're doing will help you to succeed in your communication, no matter what the scenario is. And Mandasa, thank you for sharing from Haiti. See, that's what I love. I get to go around the world just by doing a live stream. If you notice in the chat, we are sharing details and my calendar and the assessment if you want to take advantage of moving further, whether it's finding out more information, booking that initial assessment, or finding out information about any of our programs in general. Oh, and Serkan Tweet from Turkey, another one of my fabulous, fabulous vacations. Oh, so many years ago. It was really a very special trip. So thank you. Thank you for telling me where you all are from, because you see that I just automatically shift back in time to great vacations, great experiences, and great individuals that I've met from these places. So my goal today is for all of you to walk away knowing how important effective communication skills are for leadership roles. Either you might be in a leadership role and you want to improve your leadership role, or you might be aspiring for that leadership role. We're here for you no matter what, for developing the skills to be a leader or to develop the skills to be a better leader. I don't think there is a book on the market, a Google topic related to leadership that you will ever see where communication isn't on the forefront of the skills that you need to develop. By increasing your awareness, by connecting with your listeners, and practicing mindfulness to help you think strategically and think on your feet, leaders can create a positive and engaging work environment. Should I repeat that? Because that's pretty important, and that's bringing together the 5 tips that we discussed today. By increasing your awareness, by connecting with your listeners, remember that smile and that eye contact, and practicing mindfulness to help you think strategically and on your feet, leaders can and will create a positive and engaging work environment. Effective communication builds trust, enhances collaboration, and drives success within teams and organizations. I love to keep my eye on the comments section. I have some people that just checked in. Tom from New York, yay, as a fellow New Yorker. You may not even notice I have a New York accent like everybody else is noticing. And Gideon from Nigeria, welcome, welcome, welcome. But we are wrapping up, so I hope for those who just introduced themselves, and Indicom from India, oh, this makes me so happy. I hope those of you who are just checking in where you're from have been here. Otherwise, find this live stream on LinkedIn and YouTube, along with tips 1 through 15, so you can catch up completely. For those who are just checking in, and yes, Marcelo from Brazil, I see you as well. Look at this world. Look at this world that we have. This is why I love when you check in. Last minute checks in are coming from Texas, Georgia, Sudan. Oh my gosh. So if you have not been watching the whole thing, make sure to watch the recording. And don't forget to join me on social media, YouTube, LinkedIn, or Instagram to get your 1-minute weekly tip on this topic. Every month in a live stream, I bring 5 tips together. But every week, you can keep an eye for 1 minute on our tip. YouTube, LinkedIn, Instagram. So don't forget, if you're interested in training, you have my calendar link. You have my website. My website doesn't give all the information. Apologies. But the calendar link does, because that's directly connected to me. Any other questions before we wrap up? Manda, sir, you want to be a great leader? Well, I will help you get there. My team will help you get there. You can, again, book on my calendar. You can go to YouTube, and you can either participate in our group training or our private training. Oh, Joe, that was a test who was paying attention. Yay, Joe. Yes, right now we will upload 10 tips to a memorable presentation. Yes, Joe, you get a prize. You're getting called out because you have the best memory. Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Tom, for your kind words. I appreciate you all being here. Make sure you look at all the comments, and make sure to connect with me on a weekly basis for those 1-minute tips. I thoroughly enjoy having you all here, and greetings from around the world. I know it is not early for many of you, so I thank you from the bottom of my heart for taking the time to join me today. And I wish you all great success in your aspirations as emerging leaders or leaders. And you are very welcome, Joe and everyone else. So wishing you all great success. Thank you for being here.